What's up? All right, so welcome to this week's DENDAO governance call. I am Dave. We've got I am for I am and Greg with us. It is 3 o'clock Eastern, noon Pacific on Thursday, so that's where you can find us every week talking about DENDAO stuff. So we got a short agenda, but there's actually some more stuff that it didn't make it onto the agenda that's tacked on to the replies, and I have some initial leaderboard stuff to show how that's going too. So we'll talk about all that. First up, February LCP is live, so we can go vote on stuff. Actually, I should have said first up is there's a link at the top of the page from the DENDAO post where you can actually join this call where we are right now. So if you want to pop in, you can click that link and you can join this call. It's open to anybody to come in and talk about Den stuff. You can also just type in YouTube chat or leave a reply to the post, and we'll get to that. So next first thing is that LCP is live, and you can go vote on stuff.
Cool.
So I may have put my thumb on the scale a little bit, and I feel bad about that, but I don't really, because I've been talking about a marketplace over on Coffee with Den, and also on one of the calls last week, I think. Anyway, yes. So we've been talking about marketplace stuff, and then lo and behold, looks like people think it's a good idea. So that's great. The number one by unique voters and by lore, I think both are marketplace right now.
Oh, wow. It's really shot up.
Yeah. So that'll be cool.
By the way, there's a DAO that's, excuse me, DAO, an LCP that's something like that, like Let's Do Business, or I don't know what the difference was.
This one, I didn't look at that one, actually, the Let's Do Business one. This is the one that I think Alexon's told me that they proposed. So it's the one that I looked at and went right to. Yeah. And it looks like basically it might be the same thing as Let's Do Business. It might be a duplicate.
Yeah,
who knows?
Yeah, I think so. Let's Do Business actually mentions, what's his name, Ulbrich.
Oh, really? Interesting. Yeah, I'll have to go check that one out. But there's a bunch of stuff to choose from. Aliens, right? That's kind of the current thing.
Oh, cool.
Or was, and then I don't know, it's rapidly changing. So yeah, the way this is going to work is the same as last month. It's going to be the number one by unique voters, and then it'll be number 8 and 21 by total lot committed, right? Lore. Total votes. Yeah. Total. I'm sorry. Thank you. Total lore committed or total votes. If you are tired of waiting for your favorite proposal to win, then once the winners are selected, you can look at the runners-up over in the by unique voter category, and you can actually pay a matter fee to get them to push them over the finish line. To get them to win if they didn't. And those are pretty cheap, especially if you've been hanging around Den for a while and collecting matter. It's basically a free way for anybody who's been stacking matter to do it. I say free, you pay a matter fee, but if you've been getting rewards on matter, you can use them. One of the things you can use them on is that. And then, of course, anything over with 8 or more unique votes, you could always pay a fee that's higher, but get that done too. So there's a bunch of options in there, a bunch of interesting ones. I see depression scrolling up the screen right there. But like once a quarter, I'll go through a bout of depression. So maybe that's something that I can throw some ownership into later.
Take a lot of vitamin D.
Yeah, well, maybe that's it. I don't get out into the sun as much to trade. You know what? Maybe you just I had an epiphany when you said that just now. Because from what I understand, vitamin D comes from the sun converting like cholesterol from your capillaries right into vitamin D and something else. I have both low sunshine and high cholesterol. So maybe that's what's going on.
Fish oil.
All right. Well,
I'm not a doctor. This is not.
You should flip those things around, man. It sounds like you
medical advice.
Some sunshine for trade some sunshine for some cholesterol. You could get a pretty good deal.
Yeah, right.
If you buy
in
the
marketplace layer.
Sell them on, from Mark.
Well, cool. I'll have to look into that. That's just an aside between I am and I, not medical advice for anyone.
Sure.
But yeah, that's live to go vote on stuff, and we'll see what wins. I'm looking forward to that because I've got some stuff I want to sell for Matter. By the way, if you haven't been listening to what I was talking about on the coffee show on Wednesdays, 9 a.m. Wednesday mornings Eastern, then I've got a bunch of stuff I want to sell for Matter, which includes a bunch of Matter merch of different shapes, sizes, colors, and stuff like that. So I'll get some posts prepped up, and it'll be sort of ad hoc right now until we get something better. But the marketplace is just going to be cool. So don't let me continue influencing you to vote for the marketplace. Vote for whatever you want. Next up, so I want to talk about eval rep, and I want to go ahead and talk about it in the context of your question, I am for I am, in the reply section. I just got done replying to your question, right?
I saw
about why are things the way they are, basically. Why would the metrics page show different numbers than what was paid out? It's an excellent question. It's a result of how Den is currently built. And what's happening is, in a nutshell, the metrics page is doing the same math as the payouts page, and it is giving you an estimate of what you should be receiving. It isn't actually referencing the payout data point, if that makes sense. So
it does, but it actually draws another question. Why are we doing another calculation?
Yeah. That is a great question. That'll be changed. I don't think that's the way that it should be. It's the way that it is because of the way that it was initially designed, and it just kind of kept working that way, and we kept building it that way. It probably should be the other way, but it's this way instead. And so because it's this way, it means we're doing the same work twice on two different systems. The metrics system is a different system than the actual payout system. So here's what happened. And this is why it's related to the evaluator rep system. We converted what was a divide to a multiply, right? So instead of dividing on a whole number, we are multiplying on a float. And it's the same math written differently. But we updated one and didn't update the metrics page. So where the metrics page was doing the math, it was dividing where it should have been multiplying and giving you the wrong number. So that's the short answer of like technically why it showed up differently. But that's been updated now, so it should be the same. The other part of that was Alexon's question, because there's a different point of confusion in the metrics page where the details of the payouts for each post and reply and all that stuff, the details of that, if you add the details up, it comes up typically to a number less than what your total payout says. And the reason for that is there are pools that are not displayed in the metrics page. And that's stuff like, I got to go look and what's actually in there, but there's a whole bunch of different pools that you get paid out for. Some of it is for just using energy and using matter. Some of it is for sharing content, outside of Den. Some of it, there's like little nuggets, little pieces, like fractions of matter that you'll get for different activities on Den. And not all of those are shown in the details. So it's going to be the details plus whatever other pools are not in the details equals the total payout. Okay. So that's going to continue happening until it's updated and more stuff's added to it. The other thing's not going to happen anymore because it's been changed to be the same math. So sorry for the confusion. It is confusing. Luckily, we're currently on make that better mode for leaderboard stuff.
I guess the advantage is then we're using the same math. Maybe it's somewhat of a redundant system. I'm not sure. Rather than just a reporting function.
Not really,
rather than a reporting function displayed elsewhere.
Yeah, I mean, in one way, I guess you could look at it like that, but really, it's not really redundant because it's not doing anything except displaying what the payouts should have paid out. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So yeah, we're doing double work, but it's not redundant, which is why I don't think it should be done that way, right? But the time it would take to change all of that, the way that it's in place and functioning, would just get in the way of other like priority stuff that we got to do. So right now, not only with Den, but also there's some priority customers that attention is being paid to, where we got to work on that. So this is working, and it's working this way. It's just less efficient, right? Is the result. And sometimes you run into, oh, I forgot to update both places whenever you update something. So it's fine. It's just a little confusing whenever something like that happens. And then you have to explain like, okay, well, that's because of this. And then the very good question of, well, why is it like that? And it is because that's the way it is. Basically is the answer is that's the way it is right now. You know what I mean? So I think that eventually it'll be changed to the other way you were talking about, where it just references data points, but it's just we ain't got time to do that shit right now.
Okay.
So with the leaderboard stuff, I don't have a web page to show, but I got something pretty neat, I think, to show with the leaderboard. I was working on if you understand how lot works on Den, it's obviously got the governance utility to it, right?
Right.
But just as importantly, it has what I call matter emissions for lot, meaning you get a percentage of matter generated within the layer where you own lot. And in fact, in metrics, you can see per layer, like how much matter you've gotten for each layer. But because they are NFTs, they're not the same. One lot is not one lot. They all represent different layers that have different max supplies and different, economies and stuff. We can use that matter emission, right? How much matter is created and paid out for holding a lot, to give it an apples to apples comparison, so people can start, if you want, for example, shopping around for, hey, I'll buy some of this lot from you with matter. How much is it worth to you? Well, that could be a pretty difficult question, unless you can calculate how much, like, for example, what I've done, I'll pull it up now, is I've calculated how much over the past 3 months, I've taken all the matter layout over the past 3 months and ranked all of the layers on Den to show in one column. I've got so the display name in column A, right? And then I've got how much lot is in that layer in column B, meaning the Spanish layer has a total of 100 lot. That's all that it has, while conspiracy theories has 631,000 lot and photography has almost 1 million tokens for that one, right? So I take that, and then in the next column, in column C, this is if you hold just one token, one individual lot token, how much matter would you have earned just by holding that one token over the past 3 months, right? This is a quarterly thing that's calculated here. And then the next one is if I hold 1% of the total lot, a different way of looking at it, right? Because most people know how much they hold by how much percent of a layer that they hold, right? So one of them, column C, is one individual token. Column D is if you hold 1% of however many is in column B.
And then this is obviously sorted by D.
And this is sorted by either C or D. Yeah, I forget which one. But yeah, with that, you can look, and this is an example of what will be on the leaderboard, right? So this is working. I can run this on different periods of time. I can say, what did it look like last month, last year, right? So if I wanted to compare the value trends, for example, we could start saying, okay, what did one lot or 1% of total lot from this layer look like last month in the month of January compared to January 2022? If you wanted to do comparisons like that, kind of like if you get a utility bill and it shows you, this time last year, your usage was this versus this. So we can start doing stuff like that.
Exciting, actually. Very exciting.
It's really cool. I was talking, I think it was Alexon's in coffee chat, and I went through and looked and said, hey, here's some lot that I'd be willing to part with if you want to trade some matter with it. And I've been talking to him in a DM. And
so there are some layers that I don't have lot in that I've always wanted. So I need to start negotiating.
So this is I think a very fair way to say, like,
evaluation.
Yeah, it's a fair valuation. I think it's an objective, data-based valuation. The only speculation at this point is, how it's going to continue doing in the future. Nobody can say that, but you can look at
what do they say? Current rewards do not predict future rewards.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that kind of thing. Exactly. So there's that disclaimer in there. But as you could imagine, this is something, and this is going to be true for almost every single thing we put into the leaderboard, I think, because this can in turn be used for different features and easily hooked into. For example, lot swap is on the roadmap. It is on that list of features to have a matter lot swap contract, to where people can swap matter or lot that they have, and they can just do it without having, like on OpenSea, it's kind of like, whatever this is kind of worth, I guess. I don't know. But this is a way where the system can actually say, okay, do you want to sell it for a 3-month ROI? Do you want to sell it for a 6-month ROI? Like, what's your price? So when you're picking a price, you're basically not picking an arbitrary price. You're picking a period of time that you would expect that you could get about that much back from, how long to hold it. And if you are somebody who's a creator, a community manager, somebody who's good at making activity in a layer happen, you can then look at that and say, you know what? Here's the current ROI for 3 months on this layer. I think I could bring a lot of value to this layer. I'm going to buy it at this ROI, but I'm going to beat the ROI because I'm now going forward. I'm actually going to, put in effort to make these actually generate more matter than what they have because I know I can do it. So it opens up a lot of interesting, useful, cool possibilities like that. So anyway, that's what I've got right now. I just want to show how that looked. And until we actually get something up to where everybody can go and look at it on the leaderboard, what do you think is an appropriate interval to post? If I just had a post that said, hey, here's the current lot emissions.
I don't know. I'm thinking like first of the month or end of the month.
Monthly, yeah, monthly is great. Hopefully in a month it'll just be on the leaderboard.
Yeah.
But I'll at least go ahead and make one post then to say hey, here's where everything stands, just to give a bird's eye view, in case anybody wants to start thinking about how to use this information. Because I'm definitely going to sell. There's 3 different layers. I'm going to sell some stuff to Alexons in a DM. We're already talking about it. So. So nice. Cool. Was there anything else let's go back to the.
By the way, thank you for this.
You're welcome. No problem. It took me a while to get around to it, but once I started hammering away on it, it was I got some help from the real rock star on the back end on how to do this, and once it made sense, I was able to start throwing stuff together. So I am for I am. We talked about that. Let's scroll down. What else is in there? I think I put something. I don't know if I already talked about it. Oh yeah. So here I think.
I think DENDAO. I think it's a good idea for some point in the future. I agree.
I think it's already kind of decided, but I wanted to mention it. So we've got obviously we went and auto subbed everyone to the winning LCPs, and then we retroactively did that too, which was a one-time thing. What we have not done, and I actually thought about this when I was doing metrics and leaderboard stuff, because I was looking at I've got one for new accounts per day, new accounts per week, per month, so we can track our signups and stuff like that. And it made me realize we have a completely separate default layer sub list that wasn't updated. So and here's my question, and I think that the answer is yes, but the implications of the DENDAO GI passing that says to auto subscribe everybody to the LCP layers should mean that our default layer sub list should be all LCP layers except for the adult layers and stuff and the private ones and stuff like that, right?
Right.
So
agreed.
Okay.
Completely agree.
Because we've had a bunch of signups since that happened, so I'll have to make
go
that
back
change.
and verify.
Yeah.
Has there been
Yeah,
a lot of pushback? Have you gotten a lot of pushback on, hey, I'm subscribed to everything and now I got to undo? Or...
Nope, not at all. The only pushback is that we should probably have a toggle somewhere to opt out of that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been from several places, which is
and I remember that in the discussion of the from the proposal.
Mm-hmm.
That would be nice. I think it was how that was worded, but
that'll be something that, like, right now, I think that there's like the flow of new posts in layers is not so extreme that it's a pain in the ass right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I can see, like, if we get a handful of rowdy layers, then it's just going to be like, all right.
Right. Well, I've always been subscribed to all the layers from way back when. And the reason I did that was because I wanted to watch layer growth by subscription.
Oh, yeah.
And I used to put those numbers together monthly, if you recall. So that analysis. And so that's why I was always subscribed to all the layers. And so I could, and to be quite honest with you, it was another way for me to track how many postings were happening kind of on a day-to-day basis.
Mm-hmm.
To try to gauge activity.
Yeah, I've got stuff.
Just energy.
The subscribers in a particular layer, that's a good one. I'm going to jot that one down. Other stuff that I've got working already to put up is chat activity, right? So we can say which chat rooms are the most active, so that people know which chat room to go talk to people in, whether there's somebody who's actually there to talk. I've got DM activity, just a number, just a metric, like how many DMs per week, that can be a number on the leaderboard. That's working. I've got new accounts, like I said, and new posts as well. So, building more on that, but those are some initial groundwork laid out, and those are all working pretty well. And it's got interesting data. Just like I showed the one spreadsheet that was the lot valuation, and I don't have the other ones like in spreadsheet form right now. But they work just as well. They all work across the board. So that'll be cool to get up to where everybody can see it, because then people can start scheming and thinking and plotting and planning and denizening and all that.
Denizening.
Yeah.
We get all kinds of new Urban Dictionary stuff.
Yep. Okay, so that's the big stuff. That's the stuff that I want to make sure that we covered, right? What else do we want to talk about while we're here today, as far as governance call stuff? That
was my only big question. It was just because I remember that came up and either Super Happy Dragon Lucky. I think that's where I'd heard you mention it first, because it was a comment. How's the migration coming? I guess.
So that's a good question.
Snafus, issues. I do see on occasion where different errors will pop up, like not available at this time. I don't remember the exact verbiage, but something to that effect. And I just kind of give it a few minutes and let it cycle back in.
So good question. The migration is mostly done. The only thing we haven't done is the part where everybody's going to have to pick a new password, right? So I put that out last week saying, hey, just a heads up, that's going to be a thing at some point. So make sure that you have access to whatever email account you use to sign up for Den. Everything else is done, though.
Yeah, I think you kind of need to do an announcement as to why that is going to be necessary.
We're changing.
Look through and see if we have any drop off on activity or user activity, users that have a problem, so we can maybe be able to go back and circle back and say, hey, we noticed that we've enacted a new password. We apologize for the inconvenience, but we've noticed that you haven't been active lately.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Just a friendlier email to. That's a good point. Yeah. We can take current activity maybe and compare it before and after to say, okay, that's a good idea. But basically, to answer the question, it's because we don't know what your password is. Right. We're changing the entire system that we use for logins to something that we can better use for what we are bringing in one of the that we're bringing in with one of the customers that are using it, which is gonna be this factor MiFi system, will be on DIN, right? Now that's going at a separate pace in parallel to the priorities, just because that's a separate thing that's being worked on with somebody for specific reasons and all that. But it will let us tie into factor in a way that the other system wasn't great for, kind of thing. But since we don't know your password, it's all hashed and it's not transparent to us. We can't just like copy over your password to the new system. So you just have to make a new password is the solution there.
Okay.
Yep. So, but no, the migration's basically done except for that part. I think the last thing that we did was the data store for images and things like that. And then there was that one outage a week or so ago for a short amount of time, but then it's done.
Okay.
Just bad timing on that.
No, that was it that I had for this week's meeting.
All right. Greg, what do you think, man? Any procedural or governance or development questions that you want to discuss from your end?
Nothing actually jumps to my mind right now. I think things are going well. This is really awesome, by the way. Everybody's been doing some phenomenal work over there.
A lot of it's not really seen, but you're right. There's a lot of stuff going on.
Well,
and there's like a lot of different things too being worked on at the same time, which is you spreading several workers pretty thin, I guess.
Yep. Well, and I've noticed like little things are starting to tick a little better too. Like I don't know if you guys knew that you had fixed this, but when you first brought out the ability to pull back committed lore for the
LCP
process, right?
Yeah.
For the LCP process, the app itself was not actually in iOS allowing for that to function.
Interesting.
Until the most recent update. So I would hit the link to try to pull back my committed lore from the last vote I made, which I think was on the change my view one. And I was getting skunked. It was just staying there. Which wasn't a big deal because I like that. I actually like that one quite a bit. So I just was leaving my lore there for no other reason than the fact that, well, if it's going to stick somewhere, that's an okay place for it to stick.
Yeah, that's what I typically do too. Is I'll go through and make sure that I have some lore in all of the layers that I'm interested in winning, because I don't know if somebody's just going to pay a fee once voting ends. I don't know if someone's going to pay a fee to create one of the ones that maybe I pulled my lore out of or something,
But I just tapped it again right before this call because I periodically retest to see if there's anything that I want to bring back up, right?
Okay.
And it worked like a charm this time around. So,
cool. That's great.
So
Good.
The back end cleanup is resulting in sort of like a compounding of bug fixes, which happens when things start to get polished. Something
that can happen too.
You might be fixing one thing, but if you're doing the fixes right, you fix stuff you didn't even know you needed to fix. So,
that can definitely happen.
Commendations to your team over there because they're building the right way and fixing things that they didn't even know were wrong. So,
well, good. That does remind me. There is one instance where the withdrawal button purposefully does not work that you should watch out for, and that is
which one's that?
And that is when voting ends, when the countdown timer reaches 0, and then the new layers that won haven't been created yet.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't think this was that case though, because
it
was something that I noticed like right after that feature got brought out when the last LCP was open. So
little things like that too. And Greg, you would get this totally because of how familiar you are with how blockchain systems work with Rivet and stuff. That used to be purely on the Ethereum side, meaning you would purely use MetaMask to put lore in and take it out, which would be a transaction fee paid in Ether every time you did that. And now it is still lore and it's still an ERC 20, but you're able to do it on the DIN side I think both actually. You might still be able to do it both ways.
Is it like account level
DIN
abstraction kind of stuff going on, where it's happening in the background?
Well, it's happening on Dragon Chain. Is what it's doing.
Dragon Chain is acting as a relayer, kind of.
It's Dragon Chain's. It's whenever what it's doing is it's using your deposited lore. You deposit from Ethereum to Dragon Chain or DIN in this case,
right?
And so it's happening on DIN's blockchain, and DIN's blockchain is on DragonNet. So it's and it still pays a fee, but but DIN actually pays the Dragon fee instead of the user
because it's so small that it's that it's worth the expenditure as an infrastructure cost, right?
Yeah. As a business, as a business model, it's like we'll just pay the Dragon fees on DragonNet where the user doesn't have to worry about it, that kind of thing.
Well, I know account level abstraction is a big challenge in blockchain on the sort of like the Ethereum side of the line, because acting as a relayer bears some risk in terms of custodying other people's keys. If you want to have
we don't do that.
Some other interactor engage your account to make a change for you and therefore also pay the fee for you.
Right.
You have to grant them rights that are probably too extensive, right? So custodying keys is one solution that has been tried, but it comes with some security compromises that I'm glad you guys aren't engaging in. So.
Yeah, because that could be, that is a way to do it. Like when it comes down to it, you could do it that way, but that's the unsafe way. That's the why even do it Web3 way.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? That kind of thing.
And I'm glad you guys have something in Dragon Chain already to support that, because I know it was at one point in time going to be a priority for Ethereum to have account level abstraction as part of the base protocol, but to this point it hasn't been prioritized.
So here's a question for you, Greg, since I've got you here, and this is off topic, but it's something that I was thinking about recently. Yeah. Something that I want Ethereum to do, for example, because of a side project that I'm designing. I basically need a way to call collect. where a user can not have to pay a fee, but the fee comes from a third-party account kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's
exactly the problem I'm talking about.
Okay, right? Got you. Yeah.
There are ways that people can do that, that exactly what you're describing could happen, where let's say you make a non or like an outside of band, outside of the blockchain call to to somebody's Web 2 based server, and it executes a function that then because it has custody of your keys or because you've delegated some right to the right contract, can execute on your behalf and make it so that you can essentially compensate them in advance, and then they can set up some kind of fee that you pay when you do actually have to interact to offset the cost.
On a protocol
that
level,
would be really complicated. So.
Yeah, on a protocol level, I would like them to be able to, like on Ethereum side, it would be convenient for like the contract to pay its own gas fee or something, and then the business that owns the contract just be responsible for keeping that balance with something in it, that kind of thing. But anyway, that was an off-topic question. I just wanted to.
I do think that is plausible and possible, but there's no easy way to implement that in a user-facing smart contract as of yet, without, like I said, introducing the security risks that we talked about before. So. Gotcha.
I know other blockchains do it, where they have a field for fee payer that can be different than who's actually doing the, submitting the transaction. I just didn't.
Some layer 2s have been devised to explicitly solve that problem.
Cool.
But again, they do come with those attendant risks. Let's say if it's not your keys, right? It's not your crypto. And that goes for even someone temporarily handling your funds in an effort to pay the fee and execute a thing on your behalf. So
gotcha. Yeah. We do it on Dragon Chain.
I gotta go.
Yeah, sure.
I will catch up with you soon.
Thanks for sitting in on the World Blockchain Roundtable today too. I appreciate you joining us.
Had a good time. I always enjoy that.
Oh, a quick question on your way out. Are your login issues still a thing?
No, they're still a thing. As long as I stay in Tor, I'm okay, but I can't play video.
So weird. Yeah. Have you tried like a different browser and a different?
I tried 4 different browsers, 2 different ISPs, and with and without VPN. So
That's so bizarre to me.
Yeah, I have two different ISPs here into the home. So, yeah, I don't know. Okay. I'm baffled, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Other than maybe traveling.
One of these days.
We'll
you and I should just hop on a call, and I can maybe you can share your desktop or something, and we can click around and see what the hell's going on. Maybe.
Sure.
All right. Well, have a good one.
All right. Thanks, guys. Hey, appreciate you both. Take care now.
Yep.
Likewise.
Catch you all later. Cheers.
See you.
All right. See you, Greg. Or I am. Yep. Cool. So that's I think that's the meeting today. Then that's all the stuff we wanted to put out and talk about. Unless you had something else.
Nope, I didn't have anything else at all. Though cool. I'm excited for some of these layers coming out, and the new ones in the fresh batch look pretty cool. It's gonna be cool to see who wins. So.
Yep. And just I don't know how much time's left on it, but anybody can go look at it, and it has a countdown at the top. So get your votes in.
I'll be throwing in my vote, like right now. So
cool. Sounds good. And anything else? Reminders. So today's Thursday. We do this every week, and this is not like a show or anything. This is where anybody can come in and talk about governance stuff that needs to be talked about. There's also an update show on Tuesdays called Super Happy Dragon Lucky. That is at 11 a.m. Eastern. And that is Dragon Chain and Den.Social updates. So a lot of times, if there's something to update, you'll hear about it first on that show. So if there's something specific, you can listen in there. And there's an AMA section every week too, where Joe takes the top 3 questions that are asked in that Super Happy post and answers them live. So you can get information there before you get it here if you are in a hurry. Also, Wednesday mornings, I do I'm not awake yet. Let's drink coffee together and talk about Den stuff and whatever else comes up show. It's called Coffee with Den. And it's basically just a meetup for anybody who wants to swing by. Similar to this call, there's a link to join where anybody can pop in. I do that at 9 a.m. Eastern. So if you're ever up around 9 a.m. Eastern, it usually it'll go for at least an hour. Often it goes for hour and a half, maybe 2 hours if we get carried away talking about something. So that's where denizens can meet up and just talk face to face or whatever you want to do. So that's every Wednesday at 9 a.m. We do World Blockchain Roundtable on Thursdays at 11 a.m. Today we did pros and cons of state governments using blockchain tech. Had a pretty good pretty interesting conversation. This whole month has been sort of that type of conversation, I think, which has been interesting. Those are all the topics that got selected by that DAO. And then a reminder on all of those shows, all of those have their own layer and DAO that it operates in. And so, for example, World Blockchain Roundtable, when you ask a question to the hosts, and it gets answered on the air, then you get credited, you get given layer ownership tokens based on how many views the show got that week. So it not only rewards people for participation, it also computes the level of the reward based on how many views it gets. So people can directly influence how much their own rewards are by spreading the word, which is pretty cool. I like that model a lot. And then, of course, they all come with governance weight. So you can vote on what the topics are. You can vote on changes to the format of the show. You literally own the show, and you can dictate how it goes. So that's true for all of those. They all come with rewards of some sort. I've got to catch up with the coffee lot, but that also is a thing where if you saw the list I had up earlier, the coffee lot's pretty valuable. It's like top 3, I think, where the matter payouts are pretty valuable on that. So participate, get your lot, help us run the show, and that's how decentralization works. Other than that, thanks again, Greg, for coming on, and have a good rest of the week and weekend. I'll see everybody around. Bye-bye.
Because that goes will serve to organize and measure the best.
Adaptable, all capital, label radical yet rational. Adaptable approach is palpable if this animal is fallible, but that conclusion is laughable. So with for all detachable from the mandible, you see it now.